hell was that?
Welcome, everybody, to the Grizzled Geek Podcast, episode 92. This is Mike coming at you here, waiting on Doug, who apparently is running behind, or maybe he forgot how to tell time, or that it was what day it was. You know, working from home, it happens. We lose track of it. But that's okay, because we can get started without him here. He'll be here shortly. But this is the Grizzled Geek Podcast, the home of the old school nerds. That's right, folks. We're here to kick off your Friday night with all the geek news, all the nerd news. Well, I mean, not all of it, but all that's important. That's the main thing. So welcome, everybody. All of you out there watching us live, thank you very much. Be sure to comment in the chat there. For those of you listening to us later on Stitcher or Deezer or iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts from, thank you for listening, guys. If you want to check us out and see our faces and get some of the visual gags that we forget that we're doing a podcast and do all the time, you can check us out over on YouTube at youtube.com/thegrizzledgeek. We'll have some of our other reaction videos. I know it's just been the podcast recently here, but we've got some more stuff coming up here. Going to be releasing soon. And if you're into gaming, good news, we have a channel dedicated strictly to tabletop gaming, Dungeons & Dragons, Warhammer, all that deep nerd stuff, called the Grizzled War Masters. A link to it down below in the description. And in fact, after this show, later today, 7:30, you can hop on over there and check out our other podcast, all about Age of Sigmar, and the latest news in tabletop gaming. You can check us out over there at on YouTube, the Grizzled War Master channel, link down below in the description. All right, guys. Well, it has been a week. We've got the Suicide Squad. Doug and I went and watched the Suicide Squad last night. And, of course, it's also on HBO Max where people are checking it out. So the rest of my family were checking out Suicide Squad today while I was working. So, if you guys haven't seen it yet, definitely go check it out. We're going to be going into here with a little review. We're going to do non-spoiler at first. We might get into a little spoiler talk, depending. And then, we'll kind of go from there. But we'll warn you ahead of time, guys. So if you haven't seen it yet, be sure to, stop the podcast at that point and go check it out. If you listen to this later on, guys, thank you very much. We've been having a growing podcast listener community out there. And I apologize. I just found out that I had a whole bunch of messages from an email that I hadn't checked in a while from some of you guys listening out there in podcast land. And I'm answering those questions. In fact, we got so many of them, we're putting together a Q&A for next week's podcast where we're going to go through and answer some of these directly. So we appreciate it. Also, I want to take this time to shout out our patrons who are supporting us. I know this last year has been crazy, especially with a limited amount of content we put out this year. Those of you that stuck with us through these crazy times, we want to really thank you. We couldn't have really done this without you. You guys keep us going, and we really appreciate every single one of you. Even if you don't even listen to us anymore, you just got it on, forgot to shut it off from supporting us years ago. We still appreciate you guys too. And, hopefully don't check that closely. Also, before we get going too far, I want to address that our link to our merch store has not been working lately. Thank you, Charlie Tango, for pointing it out to us. Appreciate that. Apparently, we're having some issues with re-upping our StreamYard. That's our where our t-shirts come from. Teespring. I knew it. There's so many websites here. So our Teespring website. So we might have to build a new storefront if the server support can't help us with that. But have no fear. Our Grizzled Geek t-shirts and mugs and caps and everything will be available to you. And when it comes back online, we're going to put the masks back up there too, because, it looks like, hey, who knows? I'm not saying that, mask mandate's coming, but, just in case, I'm going to go ahead and put masks back up there on there because, if you have to wear a mask, you probably want to wear a cool one, like a Grizzled Geek podcast mask. So that'll be up there for you guys to check out. But that link is going to be fixed. Hopefully I'm supposed to hear back from them in so many days, probably by Wednesday. So hopefully, if you guys want merch, and apparently some of you are, because you guys are letting me know that the merch isn't available, so we'll have that up and running soon enough. Hey, Tony's in the chat. How's it going, Tone? Yep. So other than that, I would say things are starting to get back up to normal. I know our Ruby videos, some of you guys wondering, where's our Ruby videos? Have you not been watching Ruby AMVs? And yes, we have. We've been recording them, but the computer where you edit those videos on sadly is no more. So Shane, our Ruby buddy over there, is kind of working on a different computer and trying to get those videos edited. So, in fact, we're even filming some more tomorrow. So they're coming, guys. Oh, and look who it is. There he is.
Hola.
How's it going?
The delay. Yeah, not too bad. That was a big, frustrating, worthless trip for nothing.
Nice. Well, Doug, are you ready to get into this Suicide Squad review?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So before we get into it, Suicide Squad, first off, it got off to a great start, right? On Thursday, it broke record, broke records for post-pandemic time frame.
Yeah.
But it made $4.1 million on a Thursday night preview screening, right? Mm-hmm. Which set a record for, this pandemic era R-rated films. It's also estimated to, hit upwards of 70 million worldwide over the opening weekend, which is pretty good for one, an R-rated movie, two, a sequel to a movie that didn't do too well in the box office, and three, a movie that is also you can get on HBO Max for free. You know what I mean?
If you have the subscription to it,
Yeah, if you have the subscription, So
that is true.
Right now, it's sitting as of Friday, it's sitting at a Rotten Tomatoes score of 93% with an 89% audience score. So overwhelmingly, people like it. It is certified fresh.
Yeah.
So, did we like it? That's the big question. And I would have to say, as for me personally, I found it vastly entertaining. I thought it was great. In fact, I mean, it's James Gunn, so I'm a fan of James Gunn. And it's got, I was worried, the only thing I was worried about was it too over the top with the humor, but it's not. I think there's just enough humor in it. And no,
I could have gone a little further.
Yeah, it probably could have gone a little further because it's a little serious in some places and really, really dark. I get themes, I guess, in this. So, I don't know, Doug. What do you think overall?
Yeah, overall, I liked it. It was a good movie. It was. If you go in expecting Guardians, you're going to be in for a surprise. One.
Yeah.
How deep do we want to get here? I liked the movie. I liked it a lot. It was way better than the first. It was solid. I guess my only real complaint is John Cena wasn't as funny as Peacemaker as the previews led us to believe. You basically got his best jokes in the previews. Right.
And when we get to the spoiler section, I'll talk a little bit more about John Cena's Peacemaker because he needs to be discussed, especially if he's getting his own TV show, which he already has, already been filmed. So I would say be careful going into this. Don't just actually, pay attention to the ratings, folks, because this is an R-rated show. It's already a movie. So if you're bringing your kids in, be warned. This is not a kid's show. You're like, oh, it's a superhero show.
Yeah.
This is bloody. This has full frontal nudity, male and female. Well, top nudity for females, but full frontal for male. It's crude. and I mean, when I say bloody, it is gory as hell. It's James Gunn went back to his Troma roots. For those of you who don't know, he got his James Gunn started off in this industry working for Troma, which is the company that put out Toxic Avenger and all those super gory B horror movies,
right?
Which are great. I love those. His first directorial debut was Romeo and Juliet, another great film. But and in fact, Uncle Lloyd Kaufman, the founder of Troma Studios, who's had a cameo in every single one of James Gunn's movies, was in this too. And I didn't catch him at first. I had to go through and do like a second kind of half watching it today while I'm working. He's actually dancing with a dancer in this strip club.
Oh,
so
okay.
I'm like, oh, there's Lloyd Kaufman, which I also caught in that same scene that Palm Clement, who plays Mantis, was also one of the dancers, was the main dancer in that strip club too.
Oh, really?
So yeah, I was like, oh wait, that's So yeah, there's a few things I missed theatrically that kind of like half watching it on HBO Max, kind of caught a few things that I missed. But yeah, I mean, so be careful. Just there's the warning. It is what it is. It is R-rated for a reason. But so all right, without spoilers, Doug, who's your favorite character in the movie?
Man, it's kind of a toss-up. It's easier to discuss who I didn't like, but I would say Harley kind of steals the show, and Idris Elba's Bloodsport was amazing.
Yeah.
They were both great.
For me, I got to say it's got to be either Ratcatcher, who, and I was telling you, Doug were talking, I'm like, if you told me that Ratcatcher would have been one of my favorite characters going into it, I was like, what? You crazy? Yeah. But she's the heart and soul of this team. In fact, she is the only completely likable character. Right?
Oh, right, yeah.
I mean, the rest of them are all kind of, they're all evil. They're all bad guys, right?
Right.
She's the only one who's really not. In fact, she wasn't even, she's in for bank robbery with rats. They got it for armed robbery because they counted the rats as
right, yeah.
as a weapon. So, yeah, I mean, it's her, or I liked, they were all good. I liked it, but I think Harley as well.
Yeah.
Because I like the fact that this something that's not done too often with live action Harley Quinn is that they actually they portrayed her as insane, right? Mm-hmm. Most of the time she's just a bad girl kind of whatever, or if they play up the insanity for laughs.
She fell in with the wrong crowd.
Just fell in with the wrong crowd. Yeah, no, she's insane.
Mm-hmm.
And this kind of plays into it, which I think was great. But all right. So let's talk a little bit about. We're gonna talk spoilers a little bit here.
Sure, let's do it.
All right,
got your warning going.
I do. Let me get it. Boom. Spoilers ahead, folks. This is happening. Oh.
Now you can't get rid of it.
No, wait, go away. All right, there we go. Blow it up. All right. So, yeah, it's hey, where do we start in the spoilers? Okay. I would say, okay, it's not a perfect movie, but it is really good. Way better than the first one. Yeah. Some people say it drags a little bit in the center, and I guess kind of, but it takes some. I will say with this, if you're not comfortable with some dark themes, this may be a hard watch for you because one, there's several bouts of animal cruelty, several animals, especially birds. A lot of birds get killed, like right in the beginning. The movie starts off with killing a bird, and then a whole bunch of birds die later on. But yeah, if you're not into animal cruelty that bothers you, there's a little bit of it in here. Wanton killing, because there is, wanton killing is they kill a ton of people and have pretty much. Disregard for human life.
Yeah.
That house, I'll burn the birds. Yeah, birds die in it.
I gotta say, that was one of probably the most head scratching and kind of like really stretches your suspension of disbelief was when they killed most of the gorillas.
Yeah,
and then gorilla leaders like, all right, we'll still help you.
Okay,
like,
so here's the thing: they kill the wrong people.
They don't kill the wrong people. Waller knew exactly who she was telling him to kill.
Okay,
in my opinion.
But they didn't check. They didn't like they're like, oh, this, and it was a competition. Idris Elba's Bloodshot and Peacemaker were having a competition who could kill in the coolest ways. So they were like not just killing people; they're killing them in their sleep, torturing people, like chopping them up. They're killing people in horrific ways, and it was like a wanton disregard for human life. And they played it up for laughs as they were, and then kind of like, oh, oops, we killed the wrong people, like 24 of them. So that's the kind of dark humor we're talking about here, right? So it's kind of like, okay, if you're okay with them, killing 24 people, innocent people, well, not just innocent allies, I guess. Whatever.
Yeah, could have been allies.
Could have been allies. Yeah, and then they still work with them, and I'm like, okay, well, all right. But stuff like that, I personally didn't mind it. It was fine. But some people might have a problem with that. Nice. We didn't get any film of Doug's knees. But yeah, I mean, it's other than that. I mean, I liked it. I enjoyed it. But I have dark sense of humor. I like Tromaville movies where James Gunn got his start. Right? I like Romeo and Juliet, so this didn't bother me. Kyle's okay with him killing. Didn't bother Kyle either. So I guess I'm just saying. Some people might have a problem with that, but
the blatant killing wasn't the issue. The kind of like, oh yeah, we'll still help you. I'm like, that was really thin. Like, oh, we hate the government so much, I'm gonna just ignore the fact that you killed all my
people. Yeah, and Matt hit right there. There's with a line like that. It's one of the lines of the movie, and he and Peacemaker is right.
I love that. That was a great quote because Idris Elba was admitting, the Bloodshot's immediately, damn it, he's right.
Yeah, damn. Ben, how's it going, guys? Yes, Ben. I knew you'd like it, Ben. I knew it somehow. But I will say this: we got to talk about Peacemaker, right? We mentioned him earlier. Now that we're in our spoiler talk, because the big question is Peacemaker was awesome up until the end, right? But now at the end of the movie, he basically turned out to be the main bad guy, or
well, not the main bad guy. He was just kind of like
Waller's the main bad guy.
He was a Waller loyal, like fanboy. Like,
yeah,
like I totally buy what she's doing.
But what he did kind of makes him like an irredeemable character, like enough so that like how can this guy carry his own series? That's my point. Part of what made him cool was his dynamic with Idris Elba's character, right?
Yeah.
Those two back and forth. The two of them were a big part of what made the movie work early on. So without Idris Elba there, we're talking about Peacemaker all on his own.
You're going to have to do something. But they've gotten out with, him being essentially killed and then found in the wreckage and just hanging on life support. He wakes up with amnesia and they reprogram him, or who knows what they can do with him.
Right.
They can slightly like, oh man, I was on the wrong side, I need to make up for it, or they just go freaking. He's like,
here's the thing. Barring any kind of redemption arc for the character, Can he carry a series? Are people going to care about this guy? Because Flag was a very likable character in this, right?
Yeah,
he got a lot more character development. Well, not development, but he had a lot more to do in this movie than the last, right? And you cared about him a lot more,
right?
So when Peacemaker kills him, You're like, I don't know. And then was going to kill Ratcatcher, who was also the heart and soul of the movie. You're like, oh man, I don't know if I could root for this guy, And if I'm not rooting for this guy, then it falls into the problem where your problem with bad guy movies.
It's your show about an antagonist.
Yeah. So
at that point, yeah.
And now he's talking season 2 of the series already, and we're like, okay, well, unless there's some kind of redemption arc or something going on here, I don't know. Yeah. And we all did. We all did, Kyle. I don't think you could miss it. If it was in 3D, you'd be like having to dodge your head.
Yeah. King Shark was pretty amazing.
Yeah. Exactly. Ben's all, I should give King Shark a series. Here's the thing. I like King Shark. I like Sylvester Stallone's King Shark. I love his character in this movie. Problem is, every time I see him, they modeled him after the King Shark from the Harley Quinn animated series. Like his shape, his general shape and everything, he looks like the Harley Quinn from the animated series, which is amazing, by the way. That King Shark is awesome. So every time I saw him, I kept thinking, oh, it's going to be the King Shark from the animated series. And it's not. It's a totally different King Shark, personality-wise. Which was fine. He was good in this movie, but, I was like, you make him look like the King Shark from Harley Quinn animated series and not have the same personality. It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
I would say the only part of the movie I didn't like that I could have done without was the whole Harley Quinn, when she was like a consort to the dictator, kind of for that moment.
Oh.
One, it was a little weird. In fact, that she's willing to sleep with this guy, even though he's rich and good looking, who probably at that point she's thinking killed Boomerang and Flag, her friends, and she was fine with it.
I don't think she knows.
Well, yeah.
She's
again, we did mention they steered into the crazy with her, so so who knows? But it seemed the whole thing was a little weird, but like it didn't need to be included. But all right, it's fine. I'm okay with it. It didn't wreck the movie for me.
Yeah, I thought it was fine. Yeah, I mean, that was one of the best parts of her portrayal was her she quickly goes back and forth on the I was okay with HQ crushing.
Yeah, Harley crushing ass, getting her some. Yeah, no problem with that. It just seemed like a little. It was just kind of a weird, out of the. But it did lead up to the the rescue scene, which was awesome.
Well, and the whole her issue with falling for the wrong guy kind of thing. I think they were putting a dot on that, putting a period on that. Like, look, she has a tendency to, overlook the bad things in men, and her little I promised myself if I ever saw the warning signs, I'd kill him.
Yeah. All right.
That was fun.
But like I said, they did steer into the crazy for the first time in live action with Harley, and I like that part. Reminding she is insane. So, all right.
We've not even addressed the elephant in the room. Freaking
Go ahead.
Starro.
Let's get into Starro. All right, Doug. We had a live action Starro. Did you ever think you'd see that? I mean, we've seen this on space. No. We live in a great time for comic book fans.
Never thought. I always thought Starro wasn't stupid.
He is, of course he is. But he's giant starfish.
Yeah, giant starfish who mind controls people was there are some great bad guys, but for the Justice League, but that was not one of them.
No.
But they did him very, very well. I liked his portrayal a lot.
He was disgusting in all the right ways that a giant starfish would be disgusting.
Yep.
Him shitting out all the little Starros at the side was just gross. Though it was a whole lot about that thing. It was just gross. The texture, I was just like, I can never look at a starfish the same. Next time I go to the beach, I'll be like, oh no. You're disgusting.
Stab in the eye.
Stab in the eye.
Oh yeah, it does.
But yeah, I mean, Starro it was great because it's like one of those things. Like, how are they going to stop this thing, right? Unless you hadn't killed off Polka Dot Man because he could have taken him. I think.
Yeah.
Get him up high on a building because Polka Dot Man was awesome in the movie. We didn't mention him yet, but okay, Polka Dot Man is awesome. Those words came out of my mouth. I like what they did with Polka Dot Man. Probably one of the goofiest characters ever in comics. And I mean, not as goofy as the Attachable Limb Kid, but he was there too. But his powers, he got a power boost because his powers were badass, So, he was cool. I would say, I mean, I can't believe it. I think James Gunn just went through and it's like, what is the goofiest DC characters? Because make no mistake, and me and Doug talked about this after the movie. DC has the goofiest rogues gallery of the goofy characters, right? Marvel has a paste pot Pete every once in a while, but he's got nothing on like Polka Dot Man and some of the goofy Detachable Limb Kid and some of these DC ones. DC has, oh my God, some atrocious bad guys. Yeah, I don't even ever look at Weasel the same exactly. Oh, Weasel. That's I tell you what, I know I was like I never laughed so hard at something drowning in my in my life. I was cracking up. I'm like, did anyone bother to check to see if the Weasel could swim? As they watch him drown? That was hilarious. But that's the kind of humor we got, guys. Drowning drowning people is funny. All right. I don't know, Doug. Anything last you want to say? We already said it's worth seeing. It's do we want to rate this thing?
Definitely worth seeing. We can rate it
on the upper end of DC movies.
Yes, I mean, in the sense it is solidly on the low end of the good movies. Like it's not Wonder Woman, Aquaman, Shazam,
right?
But it's up there.
You think it's just under Shazam, or?
Yeah, probably.
See, I think I would put it a little above Shazam, although I love Shazam. But it's like I said, there's Wonder Woman, Aquaman up at the top tier, and then a few things that are okay. Yeah, I agree, Matt. He's like, oh, hell with it. And you could tell James Gunn was enjoying the non-studio interference. Like Marvel and Disney are like, okay,
yeah,
keep it. You got to be in this parameter. As where DC's like, what do we got to lose? Let him do what he wants. And he's like, I'm harkening back to my trauma days, and I'm going to make this the bloodiest, goofiest, whatever.
Right? Yeah, and I think the movie suffered from that.
I think so. I think he could. Yeah. I think James Gunn needed a little reining in on this to make it to tighten up a few areas in the movie.
And not that I found any one particular thing like, oh, that was disgusting. You went too far.
Yeah,
there was it just kept going. It's like we just had that. You didn't need to do it again.
Yeah.
We saw King Shark rip a dude in half. You didn't need to do it with Starro.
Yeah.
You could have done something way cooler than just, oh, he ripped him in half. No, whatever. I'm like, come on, really? That was it?
So Kyle gives it 3.5 starfishes. And Matt liked it better than all those movies. So Matt liked it,
Wait, better than Wonder Woman and Aquaman? Wow. I don't know. I have no idea what your...
They all had their issues, right?
For movies is then.
I mean, I think that it's Wonder Woman obviously fell down in the third act. Aquaman was just a fun ride all the way around. Shazam was a fun movie. I like this movie because I like the dark humor in it, but I think it could have been tightened up a little bit more. But yeah, we'll see. I would say I'm going to give it. Are we 1 to 10 or 1 to 5 on this?
I don't know. Whatever.
We've only been doing this for.
I know we use 4.5s and whatever. It doesn't matter which you go with because you're gonna end up doing a decimal system anyways. So
I think I'll give it. I think I'm gonna do it. Kyle, I'll give it a 3.5.
Yeah, I think I may go. So you put Shazam under a 3.5?
I put Shazam right at 3.5.
Oh,
I would say this is right on par with Shazam. Like Wonder Woman and Aquaman are up here.
Yeah.
Shazam, Suicide Squad here.
I agree.
Zack Snyder's Justice League.
I think I was more generous to all of those movies, so I'll say it's a 3.75.
3.75. oh, here's a bold statement right here from Matt. Aquaman and Wonder Woman are boring movies. Wow. Okay. Fair enough. And that, folks, he is the comic book fan out of all of us. All right. All right. So, Doug, you want to hit us up with his next Disney news?
Yeah, this was interesting. All right. So I'll use Mike's tagline here. Nothing says rebellion quite like paying Disney $5,000 to sleep in a Star Wars themed hotel. They announced the new Galactic Star Cruiser at Walt Disney World Resorts, and it gave us some details. Pricing packages for the 2-night vacation destination start at $4,809 for 2 guests, and then goes up if you bring your kids. Somebody did the calculation, 84 cents a minute, huh?
84 cents a minute for a 2-night stay.
If you go on your own, it's $3,000 if you were to do this alone.
Hey, I want to say that Matt is correct here.
What's that?
But that doesn't mean he's right about Wonder Woman, but his statement about me playing Stairway to Heaven on my bare chest to be more entertaining. I agree with that, but not about the... Yeah. All right, go ahead, Doug. Sorry. So it's what? How much for $3,000 for yourself?
If you just went alone, it's approximately $3,000.
So $5,000 for 2, $3,000 for 1, $5,000 for 2, and then up from there for
if you have
$6,000 if you have 4 of them.
Party for 4.
Okay, so
it climbs less and less. It's priced like you're going on a cruise.
Yeah.
Except it's more. Some of the bloggers I watched did the breakdown or did some checking, and you could do a 3-night on the Disney Wish, I think it was, or the Disney Dream. I'm not sure where other concierge level. So that's like the fancy level for less.
Yeah, and you're not going anywhere. So, you're basically it's a hotel next to the theme park.
All right, so basically, you get a 2-day Star Wars LARP, and it is. I mean, it's billed as 2 days, 3 nights. 3 days, 2 nights.
2 nights, yeah.
But it's actually less than 48 hours because you board at 1 p.m. on day 1.
Yeah.
And then you leave at like 10 in the morning on day 3. So you don't even get a full 48 hours. Yeah. But
it's LARPing. It's live action role playing in Star Wars.
Yeah, so every attendee will have a data band strapped to their wrist, which is essentially just a what they call it, a magic band at Disney that gets you into your hotel rooms and stuff. It's got RFID technology that allows the resort to track your movements and presumably help with your story stuff, because you're basically going, you're
LARPing.
You're live action role playing. And they have a pretty detailed itinerary of stuff you'll do. You know, like, you have and all the stories built into it. So it's like, there's a captain's reception, and there's, just like on a cruise, you'll have your I forget what they call it, stations, where you've got to go. If there were an emergency, this is where you would go, and they teach you how to do that. Then they've got like live entertainment, a captain's dinner, bridge training. Day 2 includes, you go to Galaxy's Edge. This is probably the most value you get at it. You get priority boarding to Rise of the Resistance and Millennium Falcon, and your ride on Millennium Falcon might have something to do with your story, like who you're smuggling for or who you're stealing this stuff for. And there's people who try and get you to help them smuggle stuff onto the ship or help them pass through customs, getting into Batuu, and you can decide you're going to help them or you're going to report them to the First Order. You're going to have lightsaber training on day 2. That's where that lightsaber that extends.
The real lightsaber. The real lightsaber.
The real lightsaber.
If you don't get what you get to have a chance to buy one of those, if you're paying $5,000, I'm knocking someone over and taking that lightsaber and running out. It'd be worth it.
Yeah, and as you put here, you are windowless. Everything, all windows, quote unquote, look out into space, so you don't see the real world while you're in there.
Yeah, full immersion.
Yeah, and this is built like by Hollywood Studios right behind Galaxy's Edge, so you'll have a special interest into Galaxy's Edge. So you go into like a bus or some other kind of transportation that's closed off, so it looks like you're looking into space. You drive into the park and you land at Batuu, so you're there right into the park. You don't have to go through the real world to get there. So, it's very interesting. It's funny that one of those bloggers I watched is like, it sounds like mandatory fun.
Mandatory fun.
You've gone.
You're on a schedule.
Yeah.
You're
like it's not in a cruise in that there aren't things you can just go. I'm just going to go to the lounge, or I'm just going to go to the buffet, or I'm going to go get a massage, or whatever. You're in this story.
I'm trying to mentally scrub that image Matt just put in my head with him and his Darth Vader thong. Yes, I mean,
so that's it. So.
Look, you're paying $5,000 for a 2-day Star Wars live action role play, right?
Hey, you get to learn how to play sabacc.
You do get to learn how to play sabacc, which, I got sabacc right here, so I don't need to go there to learn how to play it.
Yeah.
Got my sabacc deck right.
Ben's all in. Let's do it.
Look, man, okay, no, I can't say I can see it if you got a lightsaber, because it's not even worth it. Because then you probably have to pay God knows how much for the lightsaber. But you can't even get. This is where they're debuting that new lightsaber, right?
Yeah.
But they're not even saying whether it's just you're going to get one to like check out while you're there for the live action for role playing, or whether you actually, or even if you get to handle one, it's just maybe just be the cast of that.
I was going to say, you do have lightsaber training. And one of the things they said about the lightsaber training is and I saw this in a behind the scenes kind of thing, is they have set it up somehow for you to actually have the chance in the experience to feel like you're feeling the Force while you're training with the lightsaber. Like anticipating the blasters and stuff and actually blocking stuff. I don't know if that's going to be through subtle lighting.
You gotta wear a shock vest. You gotta wear a shock vest. It gets zappy every time.
It's coming.
It's coming. Yeah. Hey, look. Yeah. Let's be honest. Let's get real for a second here. Who wouldn't love this, right? Like, if you're a Star Wars fan, who wouldn't love 2-day live action role playing, right? Yeah, Kyle said shock collar. Exactly. Zach, I feel the Force. Yeah, there's no Star Wars fan who wouldn't want to do this. However, at the cost of like several emergency room visits, you gotta ask yourself, really, at what point, is this worth it? I mean, this is like rich people playground type thing, right? Because literally, you're doubling your cost to go to the park. If you took a vacation, this is doubling your cost.
I would say this experience costs more for 2 people than an actual like 10-day stay in Disney World.
Matt, I agree 100%. And there's no way they're gonna. They have to, if they're gonna let you play with this real unfolding lightsaber, or whatever, and not let you buy one, then someone's stealing that thing, right? You can't tease us with that. You got to put that in our hands. Yeah. We have to have the ability to buy that thing.
The big problem for Disney is, how is this a repeat? Even if you get somebody to shell out this money to do this, nobody's going to do it more than once.
Yeah.
Well, okay, there are some obscenely rich people who probably would do it more than
But that's
once,
who would do it more than once, right?
Most people are not going to do this more than once. So this has to be an ultra exclusive experience.
Yeah.
Like only 20 or 30 people do it at a time. If not,
Well,
fewer.
have you seen the size of that Galactic Star Cruiser? It's a huge hotel, so they're expecting a lot of people to do this. But I mean, I don't know, man.
It's a big hotel, but it doesn't go up.
Yeah.
So everything that you do, the dining, the lightsaber training, there's like a hidden, engineering room that you can get into. So all of the bridge, all of that has to be contained in a large surface area, but not a lot up. So maybe 2 floors of stuff going. So I don't think it's going to be as big as a typical hotel would be.
Yeah, because they're never going to fill it up. Here's the thing: this will sell out for the first few months, right? But then I don't know. You got to get people paying $5,000 a pop going back in there. I mean.
Yeah, there was a lot of speculation. How quick until you start seeing discounts on this thing?
Yeah, no lie. I'm like, wait a year and see when they, how much they drop the price on it. Because holy shit. I mean, I'm all for paying for a great experience or whatever, but this is just a little extravagant. $5,000. I'm just like, I don't know. So when is this expected to kick off, Doug?
It's
2022, but I think it's late 2022, right? Is it summer?
No, you can
early?
start booking soon.
Really? So, okay. All right.
Let me see here.
Yeah, I don't know.
No, that's not. All right, let's see.
Matt says he'll give you the same experience at the Phoenix Convention Center for about $1,500. He's like,
spring 2022 is when you can actually have the experience. I think you can start booking it sooner than that.
Yeah.
Oh, and your food is included in this, in that cost, so you don't pay extra for that, like a cruise.
Nice. Okay, so you get all the food for free, which is still. Yeah. I don't know. I can't afford to do this, right?
No, so, I can't imagine ever shelling out this much money for it.
Yeah. I mean, for that same price, imagine the trip to Disneyland on that budget that we could have.
Oh,
you know what I mean? So eat where we wanted to, do what we wanted to do, and still, for that kind of money.
Yeah, and day 2, when you go to Batuu, when you go to Galaxy's Edge and ride the rides and stuff like that, your lunch is at Docking Bay 7, which is a quick service.
The quick service, yeah. There you go. We'll get the hot dog cart out.
Yeah.
All right. So, man, if you got $5,000 burning a hole in your pocket, next year you can take a trip to Star Wars, the world of Star Wars. All right, Doug, let's talk Marvel's next Disney Plus show, What If? Okay, so it debuts next Wednesday, right? Are we ready for this? Next Wednesday, it's here already. Yes. I know.
It's crazy.
All right, so despite being an animated series, What If? Head writer A.C. Bradley has made it clear that everything we see in the series is canon. All right?
That's easy to say because you're playing with the multiverse. So
that's true.
That happened somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, true. I guess that's true. But I think the way she said it, it made it sound like there is more to it than that, right? Which tends to suggest, remember, the rumors that some of these characters may show up in live action format in some of these multiverse movies. Because we got Spider-Man and Doctor Strange, both of which are going to feature, and Quantumania, all 3 of those movies are going to feature heavily into this multiverse, right? Steering into the multiverse. So we could see, Captain Carter. Who knows? But they confirmed that there were just 2 things that are off limits. So they could do whatever they wanted for the series. There you go. Matt's got $1 million idea right here. TMNT experience. Spend $5,000 to sleep in a sewer and eat a slice of Domino's pizza. That's Yeah, and play with swords. Nunchucks. All right, yes.
That's funny.
Okay, so they said that she could do whatever they wanted with the series, but there was two things that are off limits. And she said, one, they couldn't do anything that the movies or TV shows were already doing. So that let us go into weirder and stranger places. So they couldn't mess with anything that was specifically being done currently. But that's so they could go back in the past and do anything from the past and change it around.
Right.
And the second thing, which is weird, she says, despite my damnness, I was not allowed to use Star Wars characters. I tried many times, but they kept reminding me Luke Skywalker is not an Avenger. So, sound like a Star Wars fan that was like, hey, I'm in Disney now. Can't I just use some Star Wars characters? Just what if? No, they wouldn't let her do that. So she also said that the TVA was purposely left out of the series. Okay. And a quote we got here is, we were already deep in development and writing the show by the time Loki got up and running. So we had meetings and talked about what we wanted to do with the multiverse, kind of as a side between Doctor Strange 2. It was still in the early stages. Basically, I was like, okay, I'm just going to go and show off the fun we can have in the multiverse. I'm not going to show all the things that can happen. I'm going to show all the places that can happen and places we can go. I'm not going to lay down any serious rules, and I'm not going to touch anything to do with the TVA. Okay. So when they had these meetings to talk about how they're going to integrate everything, it was decided that they're just going to leave the TVA out of What If, right? And just do their own thing, which makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, but in the interview, the way she made it sound, she kind of teased like, no, duh, it's all canon, because why that doesn't hurt anything, right? Like you said, it's a multiverse.
Yeah.
Sure, yeah, that's canon somewhere. But she made it sound like it was a little bit more than that. So we'll see. All right. Let's dive into some of our small stories here. See what we got here. Oh yeah.
Oh.
Play. Why didn't that play? Oh, there you go. Boom! Nerd Nuggets. Giving me a hard time there, the Nerd Nuggets graphic.
Even they don't like him.
You know, Doug, you love the Nerd Nuggets.
All right.
Love it. All right. So, first story up. Let's see here. Riri Williams looks to be making her MCU debut in Black Panther, if rumors are to be considered true, in Black Panther Wakanda Forever. The movie set to film in and around the Massachusetts Institute of Technology in Cambridge. And there's speculation that this could lead to a cameo appearance by Riri Williams, a character who will don her own Iron Man suit in Disney Plus's Ironheart coming up soon. And her comic book counterpart attends MIT. Right? So there's and we already know Ironheart's coming out, and they'd like to debut these characters in other stuff. So this could be, we could get our first glimpse at Riri Williams.
That's cool.
Yep. All right. What's our next rumor, Doug?
It's an interesting rumor. The Cosmic Circus has just run a story which claims that a Werewolf by Night series is on the way and is currently being developed with the working title Buzzcut. The production company, meanwhile, is named Natural History Productions, LLC. Apparently, shooting begins next February, which is a surprise when we've heard no casting news.
But we also heard that there is 9 Marvel Disney Plus shows that have not been announced yet. And some of them are already in development. So
I guess if you want something that you can do pretty much whatever you want, no one's ever heard of obviously most Marvel fans have heard of Werewolf by Night, but probably know next to nothing, if not absolutely nothing.
The people that heard about them are Blade fans or Ghost Rider fans, right? That side of it. But there was because there are Blade fans and there are Ghost Rider fans. There's very few Werewolf by Night fans out there. He's more of like a secondary character.
It's an interesting choice.
Yeah. Weird. All right. So, hot on the heels of the Suicide Squad premiere this week, and filming Peacemaker series that just finished wrapping, the James Gunn has talked about his future projects. And of course, he has Guardians of the Galaxy, the Christmas special coming out, and then Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 as well. But he's also talks about wanting to do a second season of Peacemaker, right? And he's pitched a Sylvester Stallone-led Ravager series for Disney Plus. So, I'm down for anything James Gunn does. I'll check it out.
I think they certainly set up a Ravagers kind of series at the end of Guardians 2.
Yeah.
So,
absolutely.
Hey, cool.
I'm down for that.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. We were expecting to see Ms. Marvel on Disney Plus later this year, but with Hawkeye receiving a November premiere date, it's now looking like the series will be pushed into early 2022. TV Line is reporting an early 22 release for the series.
Yep. So we called this, right? When we talked about it, when we got the Hawkeye drop date, we're like, okay, that means they're pushing Ms. Marvel. So Moon Knight fans. Oh, yeah, Matt, good call. You also heard of Werewolf by Night if you're a Moon Knight fan as well. Which, the fact that they have the Moon Knight series maybe led some credibility to the Werewolf by Night, because who knows, he could show up in the Moon Knight series that they've already been filming.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh, yeah. What is in Mike's cup? Funny story. Matt, you'll appreciate this. You told me I need more Rudy's cup. I should get them as a sponsor. We went to Rudy's the other day because I'm like, man, my Rudy's cups are all faded and worn, so I need some new ones. And we ended up getting it to go and forgot to get Rudy's cups. We're like, and that was the excuse. We're like, we can drive. It's a long drive. We'll go out there. Like, but we need more cups anyway. We'll go anyway. No. So forgot it totally. All right. So production teams so this is something that we all speculated about, but it's been confirmed recently that the production teams for Loki and Spider-Man No Way Home were in constant communication to ensure continuity between all the multiverse stuff going on. So there's also contact from time to time between Doctor Strange's Sam Raimi and Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania's Jeff Loveness. So there was constant contact to make sure that this was all intermeshed, because apparently this is one of the most complicated group of movies that they're doing, because they got to make sure one doesn't contradict the other with all the craziness that's going on.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Characters bleed into other movies. It's all multiverse. It's all got to tie into Loki. So, Loki, and they were all like in constant communications, and even the filmmakers themselves, not just the creative team, but they're saying the filmmakers called into these meetings and were like, "Hey, how about I'm thinking about doing this. Does it mess with anything?" But yeah, so I mean, is this a surprise at all? I mean, pretty much we all knew this.
But that's cool to know that was what's happening.
Yeah.
All right. There have been rumors online for months now that Namor the Submariner is coming to the MCU in Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, and we may now have casting news for the King of Atlantis' cousin, Namora. Mabel Cadena, whose credits include Netflix's Monarcha and Dance of the 41. What? Monarcha and Dance of the 41 is reported to be the number one pick. All right,
yeah. Which she's a Mexican actress, so they're definitely going away from the blonde hair, blue eyed Namora look from the comics. But I mean, if they're casting Namora, who's an awesome character, definitely more awesome than Namor. But I mean, if they're casting Namora, pretty much Namor's shoe in, right? I mean, they're not going to have Namora in the movie and not Namor.
You mean Namorita by this?
Namorita, sorry.
Or did they change her name at some point? Namorita.
Yeah. It is. The article says Namora, so. But it was Namorita.
Is there a Namora that I'm not aware of?
I don't know.
I hate him so much. I don't
pay attention to those Atlanteans. So.
Oh, yeah. Namora's different.
Yeah, it's just her cousin. Namora's a cousin.
I think Namorita is too, but
Namorita was a young one. I don't know. It's been so long. That's back when we're talking like 90s characters.
Yeah.
All right. But yeah, I mean, are you convinced yet, Doug? Are you convinced that your favorite character is coming to the MCU? What happens if you like him? What happens if you like him like you like Hawkeye? Because you hated Hawkeye from the comics, and you hate Namor, right? And you love Hawkeye now.
It would be very interesting.
Yeah. What's happening? All right.
Yeah. So, like, what are you doing to me? Stop making me like people I don't like.
Stop making me like people I don't like. All right. Last bit of news. Let's talk a little bit of gaming news. It's normally for the other channel, but this is Last Airbender. So it actually, what I mentioned here, and it's it's a great story. Last Airbender tabletop role playing game on Kickstarter has passed $3 million. Right. They achieved 1.7 million in their first 16 minutes of the campaign. With a month left to go, this looks to be one of the highest grossing RPGs on Kickstarter without miniatures ever. In fact, it's got to be. It's already at 3 million on day 2 or day 3. It could be higher than any of the miniature ones too, right? So the ones with miniatures, because the ones with miniatures make the most money. Like Bones makes about 4 million, 5 million. Reaper Bones on the Kickstarters, but this is an RPG with no miniatures. $3 million day 3. I mean, it's Avatar: The Last Airbender, right? So it's actually, I mean, when you look at it, one of the most intriguing aspects of this game is that you could pick the era in which you play, with the backdrop for the game. So from Kyoshi's era to Roku's and Aang's, and Korra's. So each era will have distinct themes and will help define your gameplay. So if you're interested in fighting brutal battles, head over to Kyoshi's era. If you want to focus on healing the world after a tragedy, then you can play in Aang's era. Or if you want to deal with the modern era, you can do the Korra's era, right? So sounds exciting. And actually they have, where we have, I got a picture here of the Kickstarter, the most popular bundle here. And as you can see, or you can when I share the screen. Okay, so you get for $75. So this is like a deal. If you know anything about Kickstarters and gaming, the value in this is crazy. So for $75, you get all the hardback game books, right? Plus all the stretch goals, which they've already blown through. They're having to make more stretch goals because they made so much money. The goal on this was $25,000. They hit 1.7 million in 16 minutes after launch. So, that's for $75 to get, what is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hardback books. Plus all this cool stuff here. I don't even know what it is. Dice. Special elemental dice. It looks to be a good deal. I don't know. What do you think, Doug?
Yeah. For the price of 2 D&D books, you get all of that.
All of that, yeah. I'm like, wow. All right. So
I'm gonna go out on a limb and assume Dan Wilbur picked that up.
I'm gonna assume. Yeah. All right, real quick before we go, one last story here. We got a image of Christian Bale's Gore the God Butcher on the set of Thor: Love and Thunder. And so we got a look here at what Gore's going to look like in here. Well, let me zoom in on this for some reason.
Huh.
But you can see he's wearing the robes. He's got the same, appearance from the comics there. So I don't know. Yeah, nothing a whole. I mean, this movie, I was probably out of all the Marvel movies, just the one I'm most excited about coming out, just because I'm such a huge Thor fan.
Yeah,
and they've done such a good job. So I don't know.
Cool.
Just point that out there. But all right, guys, that's going to do it for us. Thanks for joining us tonight. For those of you in the chat, really appreciate you. If you want to keep the fun going and stick with your nerd themes, or you're in a more comic book conversation, you can head on over to the Absolute Geek Podcast, which is starting at 7:30 over on their channel, and check it out. They can also be talking about Suicide Squad, so you can get a couple more opinions. Apparently, Matt liked it more than we did. Thank you, Kyle. Appreciate it. And if you want to talk about gaming stuff and you're into tabletop war games, you want to hear the latest news and have us have a discussion about Age of Sigmar, you can join us over on the Grizzled War Master channel, link down below. It's at 7:30 also, and we're going to be having our Podcast to Glory podcast all about the Age of Sigmar and all the Warhammer news coming out. So join us over there, guys, or go visit our friends over at Absolute Geek Podcast. Thank you for joining us, guys. We'll see you next week with all your nerd news. Thanks for hanging out.